General Naveed Ahmad Rizvi Sahab, Commandant Pakistan Navy War College, members of Senate, National Assembly and Provincial Assemblies, senior officers, participants of the Second National Maritime Security Workshop, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I feel very privileged and delighted to be here to address this august gathering, and I believe that whatever was presented here was excellent, very informative. And as a nation I must express that we are proud of our armed forces. I've been speaking about it wherever I've gone in my two recent trips to Turkey and to Saudi Arabia. There's tremendous credit which probably the world does not realize. The way the armed forces have guarded our national frontiers, have battled terrorism, and I made the statement to the King of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, that no armed forces in the world is more experienced and more competent in the field of terrorism the way the Pakistan armed forces have done a tremendous job. The Indian Ocean region today is a very geopolitically sensitive area regarding which the security of which presentations have been done. And when we talk about any country or any area, the most important thing first is the security of the people and the security of its resources, and then the development of that region, whether it's territorial or the sea itself. The security of Pakistan has led to opening up of Pakistan in the last year, and it will keep on opening up. But security is essential for all kinds of trade, for all kinds of development, and from trade and development the economy will improve so that we can invest and ensure the fact that our territorial waters as well as our boundaries along the land are very secure and we are protected as a people. The brilliance of the people then is free from encumbrances and pressures from abroad. Similarly, the Indian Ocean geopolitically is a very sensitive area where the hegemonistic designs of our neighbor are very evident, and the Pakistan Navy, despite being restricted in resources, have ensured the fact that we have stood up and we have given the message throughout the world that we will manage to secure our waters as well. This is very important. In the new era, the CPEC initiative, One Belt, One Road, is an outlet for the entire Asian region to be able to trade through the waters. So the Pakistan Navy and the maritime security has become much more important than before, because we have now, other than Karachi port and Port Qasim near Karachi, the development of the Gwadar port, therefore is for trade through our waters, for trade imports coming to Pakistan and exports going out from the entire Central Asian region. Therefore, the security of Gwadar will be a feather in our cap, and I think the Pakistan Navy is well prepared to keep on going in that direction. But the importance of our Pakistan Navy and its attempt to keep our waters and the borders along the coast, which we have a long coast, specifically more so in Balochistan and less in Sindh, but it requires total protection. The indirect and clandestine application of kinetic and non-kinetic means short of war against Pakistan is a daunting reality. We have seen that happen because of promotion of soft insurgencies in Balochistan. We have seen that happening elsewhere, and we have to be on our toes to foil that. And until now, mashallah, We have been able to foil all such insurgencies. We have been able to battle them. We have given the message to history that Pakistan is there to say nobody can stay and nobody can do anything against our interests, and we will be able to preserve that. Our vast national maritime expanse covering over 240,000 square kilometers with tremendous, as mentioned here in some of the presentations, with tremendous economic potential both in oil and gas and under our waters as well as fisheries. I will talk about it because these are the subjects which have been very dear to me, and I will tell you why. The development of the maritime doctrine of Pakistan, and as it was mentioned that it was first formulated in 2002, then it has been revised in 2015 and then 2017, is still lying at, the final draft is still lying with the cabinet, and I will make a special endeavor and a special effort to ensure the fact that it is adopted, because that's the first step. When you have a doctrine, when you have a policy, the first step is the nation owns it. Whatever work, for example, I did in the National Assembly regarding fisheries, and I'll come to that. That's why it's very dear to me. I'll come to that. And it was adopted by the National Assembly, and that's why it became a policy, therefore can become a policy. So I believe the maritime doctrine of Pakistan has to be adopted by the nation to own it, and then therefore go forward from there, forward from those recommendations which have been drafted and presented. Beyond that, you can always improve it. Every few years, depending on changing circumstances, these things can be improved. Now, coming to specific mentions in these papers which were presented here, I must congratulate the three presenters in fact. I must congratulate them for expressing something in very tangible terms and very understandable terms. The security dynamics you dwelled upon, and the security and the Pakistan Navy, the way I recently was invited by the Chief of Naval Staff to Abbasi Sahab to inaugurate a ship built with the help of Turkey, built entirely in Pakistan, and I wish from now onwards our capacity keeps on increasing to do shipbuilding ourselves for the Navy, for the fulfillment of the requirements of the Navy, as well as for trade. That progress will keep on improving, and the mention of the PAK 2018 North Arabian Sea exercises would help collaborate and synergize all our forces, both the land and the air force and the naval forces. I think these are all good developments, and alert Navy will continuously keep on doing these exercises to increase its alertness and response time to any bad designs of our neighbors. Now, looking at the fact which was mentioned, there is so much development. In fact, my first meeting with the Chief of Naval Staff was very interesting in the sense that my interest on fisheries coincided with his interest in the blue economy. So he gave me his presentation and a written draft also of what he considers, and some of it and most of it was reflected here. My concern was, living in Karachi, there was tremendous pollution off the coast of Karachi. Tremendous, we get in 450 million gallons a day for water needs for Karachi, and most of it, imagine every ounce of water which you use goes into drain, very little evaporates. So if you get 450 million gallons of water, there is almost the equal amount of sewage generated in Karachi. Unfortunately, as the economy or as the corruption or whatever you may call it, I would call it the dark era of the last 10-15 years, when Pakistan did not progress because of these irresponsible situations. I call them irresponsible. We were dumping 420 million gallons or 450 million gallons all into the Arabian Sea. Imagine the stench. Imagine that people were swimming in those beaches. Imagine the fact that the marine life was totally jeopardized, to the extent that in the National Assembly, I was aware of the fact, and I kept on pushing two main things. One was the destruction of the mangroves, and keep in mind, the biggest battle is to fight real estate. Because closer to the city, the real estate is valuable, and the best thing to do was to grab part of the ocean in the destruction of mangroves. I raised the question in the assembly many times, and I was lied to, and the country was lied to, and the country was told that there's been no destruction. And I put up, this is unfortunate, and I put up Google Maps to show that during from 2010 and to 2014 or 15, when I was putting these questions up, there was continuous encroachment, destruction of mangroves, and reclaiming the land. When you reclaim the land, what happens? The sea still encroaches elsewhere, and there are statistics. There was encroachment of the sea throughout the Balochistan coast as well. But anyhow, I am very sensitive. I have been very sensitive to these issues, and therefore in the Public Account Committee I insisted that a committee be formed to look at the depletion of fishing stocks. It is so disappointing that some of the species, the destruction of those species is not recoverable. And what do I mean by destruction? There's no bomb going on in the sea and there's no blast, but the way the fishing was done, we still catch trash fish, which is bacha fish. Bacha fish, it doesn't develop into mature adult. And what do? We have nets which are very small. The mesh is so small that we catch every type of fish. The result is all this. If there are 10 tons of a truck going through Defence Society in Karachi, for example, taking the catch, 98% of that is trash fish, bacha fish, juvenile fish, and only 2% is probably eatable. Now, for that 2%, and the way you catch them, you've destroyed 98% of the future. That was shameful. So, and who else can I appeal to is the Maritime Security Agency, the Pakistan Navy, to help us implement these rules, and I've made those appeals. And I think it is important that the law of the land, and we have revised the law of the land, there's overfishing of the Pakistan coast. There are 18,000 small boats or big boats, whereas we can only sustain about 6,000. So we have passed some regulations through the National Assembly, developing a consensus between the governments of Sindh and Balochistan, developing a consensus that now if no new boat will be licensed, if old boats licenses are given up, one new boat can come up. We also don't want to sacrifice the livelihood of the fishermen along the coast. But imagine the livelihood of the fisherman. His fishing ability has decreased. There is no fish in the sea. And I was a very fond, I used to fish, do deep sea fishing off the coast of Karachi, going up to Churna Island and other places, even going to the continental shelf to look for bigger fish. Like tuna and the fin fishes. And over the years, I started fishing for fun in the 80s. And over the years, sometimes I used to go and catch, going 3 o'clock in the morning to go and fish and coming back late at night. And I used to get maybe 30 or 35 fishes. And then a time came when I would not get anything, just having sunburned, staying out for so long, not getting any fish. So this is anecdotal. This does not say that the fishes were getting less, but actually what really happened was the fishes were getting less. So if you don't have marine biology along, and imagine some of the figures, Captain Jamil, you mentioned, let me improve upon them. You mentioned that Pakistan's fishing income exports are about $200 million. Pakistan's fishing income was about $300 million in 1997, and so was Vietnam's. $300 million. But over the years, Pakistan has reached lately only $500 million. And Vietnam has gone to $10 billion. This is the blue economy we were talking about. And why has that happened? Vietnam does not have a big coast like ours. But what has happened is they have planned well. For example, they may have had a policy which encouraged fishing, and marine culture, marine aqua fishing is a tremendous scientific resource. With cage fishing, you put cages in the sea, you have fish, you let the fish grow in the natural waters, and then you harvest them. And if you look at some of the pictures, in fact, I wrote a paper which I gave a copy to you, Miss, on fisheries. It was a 30 or 40 page draft. And if you see the pictures, off the coast of Vietnam, you see these cages almost like farms. If you take photograph from the aircraft of Punjab farms, it's similar to that. These are farms, fish farms. So a lot can be done, and private sector investment. So I'm still leading a committee from the President's office trying to get private sector investment and improve the aquaculture situation and take the help of the Pakistan Navy and the Maritime Security Agency in implementing the laws. The Indian boats come in our area, but I think more so we have spoiled our own fishing ourselves. But we have also suggested every boat to have a GPS satellite link so we are able to know where it has been fishing and what it has been doing. A lot of fish is brought in illegally. There are so many landing sites which are illegal. The European Union and the United States and a number of countries now want us every landing site to be documented the way the fish has been brought in. We have to establish a cold chain, a reliable cold chain. We have to ensure that the prevention of turtle getting trapped, because those are the laws of Europe and America. So turtle devices have to be put up in all the nets. But there's a lot which can be done, and a lot can be done cheaply and fast. So I'm still pursuing that. So don't worry, we'll be looking in those areas. But imagine the tourism potential of the coast of Pakistan. There's so much development can happen, and I'm sure. But you stop dumping your waste into the sea. How can tourism develop when you have a very smelly sea around you? So tourism development is important. Shipbuilding definitely is very important, and then the prospective possibilities of developing the oil sector, and the estimates are estimates until we are really able to do something about them. I think the potential of the blue economy, along with the security. So security is first. I can just give you an example of how security affects tourism and how security affects everything. My friends from Gilgit-Baltistan will know until 2015, the maximum number of tourists, or even who went to Gilgit-Baltistan, were about 15,000. And it's the most beautiful area in the world. I challenge anybody. The new Attabad lake has turquoise waters. I've never seen a lake like that. I've traveled a lot in the world. Pakistan is beautiful. But in the last year, imagine 15,000 as a maximum. In the last year, 25 lakh tourists went there. Imagine, from 15,000 to 25 lakhs in 3 years. Imagine, just imagine. And it's not, nobody has pushed the idea. There is no advertisement from the government. Nothing has happened. There are no new hotels. But what has happened is, by word of mouth, when people realize it's a secure place and it's a beautiful place, so people have started. Imagine the economy of Gilgit-Baltistan. When 25 lakh tourists go there, they spend so much money. Imagine what change can happen. Imagine the fact that in Spain, about 40 million tourists go there every year. 40 million tourists. So the potential of Pakistan, there are much more natural, beautiful sites in Pakistan. If we develop our coast, the potential of tourism would add to our economy. So having said all this, I believe I'm very hopeful. I dream of a new Pakistan. I think all these factors, everywhere I go, this thing, the presentations today is a part of the Pakistan machine. Everywhere I go, there is one part of the Pakistan machine which is so hopeful. Everywhere I go, there are new ideas coming up. It is the will of a nation which brings about a change. And on 25th December, we will remember Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah again on his birthday, and he mentioned 3 very important principles: Iman, Ittihad, and discipline. Imagine, you have to believe. That is where I believe in Naya Pakistan. I believe things have changed. I believe things will change. I believe once the economy improves, there is a saying in English, people will lift themselves up from their bootstraps. I'm so hopeful of Pakistan. Once we have a little breathing time, and then that is the Iman. Then there's unity. You see, we must ensure that everybody gets to participate in the new Pakistan. You can't have unity when you have the poor, uneducated poor. You can't have unity when you have 2 crore children sitting out and not becoming a part of Pakistan. You see, being a part of Pakistan is a pact in the constitution of Pakistan between the government, between the legislature and the people of Pakistan. And the people of Pakistan are poor. They're impoverished. They don't think they belong in this country. So we have to help them, and this is the elite sitting here.